All right, this is chapter 7, the last section, 7.4. The topic is sustainability, and you should have your note-taking template with you, or you've written it down on your own paper so you know what the topics are, and a place to take notes and to answer the learning objectives. All right, the learning objectives are: identify the criteria that can be used to evaluate whether development is sustainable. Explain why innovation and resilience are important. Sustainable development. Alrighty. Sustainable development can be thought of as 3 nested spheres. This represents the environment, Earth support system. And this represents society and the people. And then this one represents the economy. The economy operates within society, which in turn operates within the Earth's life support system. So using resources in ways that preserve the ecosystem and services is called sustainable development. Sustainable development recognizes the links between ecology and economics. United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The United Nations has set 17 goals for sustainable development. Sustainable development goals must not only enable people to survive, but to improve their situations. So sustainable development should provide for human needs while preserving the ecosystem services. It should cause no long-term harm to soil, water, and climate. It should consume as little energy and material as possible. Finally, sustainable development must take into account human needs and economic systems. To find out more about Sustainable Development Goals, visit the United Nations website. Renewable resources. Renewable resources are those resources that can be produced by a healthy ecosystem. A single tree is renewable because a new tree can be planted in place of an old tree if it dies or is cut down. Healthy forests hold soil in place and offer important ecosystem goods and services by protecting the quality of the freshwater supplies, absorbing carbon dioxide, and moderating the local climate. Deforestation can permanently change the physical structure and biological community in soil. In mountainous regions, removal of trees leads to soil erosion, which can cause mudslides and affect water quality in streams and rivers. Grazing or plowing after deforestation further changes the soil ecosystem in ways that can slow down the procession of succession that enables forest regrowth. More than half of the world's old-growth forests that have never been cut, have already been logged. In some places, such as eastern United States, areas that have been carefully logged can undergo secondary succession, so forests can regrow. They're being managed. In tropical rainforests, on the other hand, topsoil is thin, organic matter decomposes rapidly under high heat and humidity. Small areas of tropical rainforests are cleared for timber. Secondary succession can sometimes occur and restore biodiversity. But if those areas are cleared for agriculture, the fungal and microbial communities in the soil are changed dramatically in ways that prevent succession and forest growth. Under ideal conditions, succession takes centuries to produce mature, fully diverse forests in areas that have been logged. For this reason, old-growth forests are usually considered non-renewable resources. Water is another example of a renewable resource. Only 3% of the Earth's water is fresh water, though, and most of that is locked in ice at the polar caps. Since we can infinitely expand our use of finite resources, we must protect the ecosystem that collect and purify fresh water. Humans depend on freshwater and freshwater ecosystem for goods and services, including drinking water, industry, transportation, energy, and waste disposal. Much of America's farmland relies heavily on irrigation, in which fresh water is brought in from other sources. Unfortunately, some of these sources are not renewable. One key to sustainable water use is to protect ecosystems involved in the natural water cycle. As water flows slowly through a wetland, densely growing plants absorb nutrients and filter out certain pollutants. Similarly, forests and other vegetation help purify water that seeps into the ground or runs off into rivers and lakes. Conserving water is also important. One example of water conservation is agriculture is a drip irrigation, which delivers water drop by drop directly to the roots of the plants that need it. Non-renewable resources. These are resources that cannot be replenished or replaced by natural processes. Fossil fuels are an example of a non-renewable resource because they come from buried organic materials that are millions of years old. When existing deposits are depleted, they are gone. Can you name some examples of non-renewable resources? Put them in your notes. Innovation and resilience. Resilience is the ability to deal with change. Sustainable development must be flexible enough to survive environmental stresses like droughts, floods, storms, and heat waves or cold snaps. Innovation is part of the Understand Global Change model in the Human Causes section. Addressing unpredictable events requires flexibility and resilience. Understand that resilience is defined by the context of sustainable development. Unpredictable events such as fire, flood, tornado, hurricane, and earthquake all have to be dealt with in a reasonable manner. And all of these are part of our ever-changing systems and thought to be more of a problem and more fierce as our globe and planet warm up and our climate changes. All right. So finish any notes that you need, answer the lesson objective questions, and highlight this and study it, and you'll turn it in with your checklist packet for this chapter.